Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sandra P's Gen Extra. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sandra P's Gen Extra. I appreciate you all being here. And I appreciate my moderator, Mama Bees, who was in. And I initially had 9:15 scheduled, and I had to change it to 9:45 to make sure I had my backgrounds and everything. So I appreciate Mama Bees if she's able to come back in. Any of the moderators that come in, thank you all so much. I appreciate you. This is Sandra P's Gen Extra, and I'm doing a Love Hotel. Kind of going to be a season to date because we are up to, I believe I was watching episode 7, and it's a pretty good show. So it's a Bravo TV show. It is Peacock, and we have Giselle and Ashley from Real Housewives of Potomac. And we also have Shannon Bedore, who is from Real Housewives of Orange County, and then Luann de Lesseps, or Countess Luann, from when she was married to the Count. I think she is, I know. She has been married since then, and she no longer has the title, but she's been known as that for some years. Luann from Real Housewives of New York. So the 4 ladies, Andy Cohen and Bravo Peacock has brought them into a lovely location down in Cabo, San Lucas, and it's called the Love Hotel. So I put up a background. What I did was I went in here and I put up the initial cast because I like how they do it. It's not like The Bachelor where they bring in all these different people. They have 4 leads, which are the 4 ladies I just mentioned. If you look at the Love Hotel cast grid, this is from a Drama Darling show. It's from IG. What they've done, these are the early, I guess I'll call them contestants. Some of them are still around. So this is a really good backdrop because we see Earl, who is a love interest for Shannon, Mark, who is a love interest for Luann, but Mark is kind of wishy-washy. Later on, we'll see him try to express interest in Giselle, but she kind of sees through it. Wale is a long-standing on the show, same as Earl, interest of Ashley. So some of the men enter at the very beginning, and the ladies get to give them a room key, and the person stays. They get to stay there. They get to know each other better. They go on different dates. It's a beautiful location. 2 of the ladies I was unsure about even watching for a season worth of a show, but Giselle has pleasantly surprised me, as she does sometimes, even when I watch her on Potomac. I used to be one of the people who could not stand to watch Giselle, find her to be a mean girl a lot of the times, especially when she was part of the Green Eye Bandits, which is her partner in crime, Rob Dixon. And they would be perfectly terrible to people a lot of times on that show. But Giselle is charismatic, and she can be funny, and she can get her point across. There are a lot of things I do like about Giselle. Ashley is just a fire starter and a stuff starter, and most of the time gets on my nerves. She's another person that gave me pause to watching, but I'm pleasantly surprised by Ashley in this. Ashley's the youngest. She's 36 years old. Let me see, I wrote their ages down. So the Love Hotel ladies, let's see, 3 of them are Gen X. We have Shannon Bedore from OC. She's the oldest. She's 60 years old. Luann is 59. Giselle is 54. Giselle's my age. She's 54. And Ashley is the baby. She's 36 years old. But Ashley, as we know, recently completed her divorce from Michael, who is a much older man, and she has 2 children with him. They may still be toddlers. If not toddlers, they're very small. There may be 4 or 5 at this time. That's going to come up because one of Ashley's interests, Wale, wants children. He does not have any. He lives in Rhode Island, and that's the sticking point between he and Ashley. Ashley, she's young enough to have another child if she wants one, but Ashley might be comfortable and done with her family, which is fine. That's fine for Ashley if that's what she wants. And I do appreciate that about her. She's not letting anybody push her into what they think she should do. Philip is an interest of Giselle's. Now, Philip lives in Bel Air. He's very suave and well-dressed and particular, as you can see, clean cut. I don't know about Philip. He has been an interest of Giselle since the beginning, but honestly, Giselle seemed more interested when she found out that Philip has 2 homes, okay? And he's prominent or prestigious or whatever he does out in Bel Air. Jay is an earlier interest. He's in the first few episodes. He's more like a friend to Giselle. So I don't know if he's her type. Maybe he look a little bit like Pastor Jamal Bryant, but they seem more like buddies to me. I never saw a love connection between Jay and Giselle. Jerry was an earlier interest of Luann. Ralph is funny. Ralph is good looking. He's about 61. He has two small children though. He has like an 8 and 9-year-old sons. He's of course, no longer with the mother. He's a co-parent. He and Ashley kind of about the same stages in life, even though he's 61. Ashley developed a late interest in him. He also has expressed interest in Giselle. The Countess kept him around because she said he's tall. She gave him a room key. Nicholas was an earlier interest of Ashley, but Nicholas was no match for Wale. Wale just runs the people out of there that he doesn't want to be able to spend time with Ashley. So Wale is a strong personality. And Wale and Ashley have quite a bit of chemistry, in my opinion. So I do like that. If you're in the bushes, I appreciate you so much. Click the like button. And then if you've seen the show or you know anything about the show or you have opinion on one of the four ladies, you can also put that in the comments if you choose to. I'll summarize a little bit because like I said, we're 7 episodes in. I haven't reviewed it, but I've been just watching it for my own viewing pleasure because I love the locale. The ladies they're giving a lot of, they're funny. They're beautifully dressed. They're dating all these men at the hotel, and it's acceptable because they're on a dating show. So I love that. I don't know who came up with this concept, but it's a great idea. The host is this adorable host named Joel. He is, I guess, from the Bravo universe. He was on Watch What Happens Live last night, which I actually fell asleep on, but he was pretty shady. And he's kind of shady on the show, but he's a really cute young Asian man. His name is Joel. So I don't know where he's from, but he is from the Bravo universe. I'll pull up a picture of him later just so you can see what he looks like. So we start out with Giselle and Jay. As I mentioned, they are attracted a little bit to each other, but not to date. Wale, I think, is very nice looking. He's adorable. But Giselle and Shannon like Wale for Ashley more than Ashley likes him for herself. They do have chemistry and attraction. So Shannon early on kind of starts to gravitate to Earl. They call him Earl the Pearl because when he first came in, he had on these white gaiters, which Ashley thought was so cool and funny. And then the men were also pointing that out. So Shannon ends up telling him her story of drinking and driving into a planter. That was big news, not just in Bravoverse, but just big news that people were talking about. And I haven't watched OC since Gretchen and Tamra Judge were there, but it was Tamra Barney at the time. She was married to Simon, he was a narcissist. He was terrible to Tamra, and Tamra was a trip herself. I think she's divorced from Eddie now. Eddie Judge was someone that she got with later on that show, but Tamra's returning to OC as well as Gretchen, who's one of the earlier cast members. She's returning as well, so I may pick OC back up. I don't care for Shannon, y'all. Shannon's very rude. So Earl ended up bringing her a drink when she was meeting with the women. Well, I said Luann, Giselle, Ashley, and Shannon is the fourth. And then they start to do these different dates. We find out from Jerry that Jerry is Luann's love interest. He is already retired. He's called himself a surfer, a beach boy, and a homebody. Luann says she likes to go out, but they do have chemistry. She kisses him, and then she said they don't have chemistry. So Luann is a trip. Luann, she kind of dates like a man. Luann sees something she wants, and she goes after it, and Luann offers no apologies. She's playing with these men. She's giving the one that she want to have her key. We're going to see later Luann letting the men come into her room. Luann's doing what she wants to do. But that's how the Countess has always been. So Shannon and Luann are in a joint confessional early on, and Shannon is saying that she has never dated more than one man at a time. She's also never been the one to ask men out, which this is the woman's choice, so they are getting to ask the men out. So this is different for Shannon. Shannon says she's intimidated by Giselle because Giselle's so beautiful, and Giselle is looking good down there in Cabo, y'all. Her outfits are beautiful. Her hair is gorgeous. Her skin is sun-kissed. Shannon Galbo came in. I'm so glad I saw this comment. Surprisingly, Giselle and Ashley are not bad on the show. Yes, Sharon Gabo, I don't mind watching them at all. They're making me laugh, and they are the two that I just yell at my TV when I'm watching them on Potomac. I find Ashley to be so messy and Giselle to be so also messy and sometimes rude. But I don't think it's a good edit. I think this is just a good environment for them. They're in Cabo, they're on vacation, they're dating. So I love it. So early on, we have Ashley. She got asked out by Nick, but she says she's intrigued by Wale. So we're going to see this in Ashley throughout the season. She's dating these different men, and whatever man she's with, then she starts to miss the other man and kind of pulls him in. So Joel, who's the host, came up with what he calls the Ashley verse. And he says, which one of these men are going to be an Ashley verse tonight? And Ashley, she just going along with it. So she said she's looking for more. And one scene, Wale walked her back to her room and he kind of wanted to kiss her. Something I'm noticing about these men, they are very hesitant to make the first move as far as kissing or pulling them in for a hug or anything like that. I guess it's just being on TV, modern times, maybe the age of some of the men. This thing with you always have to have permission for everything, which is a good thing, but it takes away a lot of the spontaneity. When Wale walked Ashley to the room, they're in Cabo, they're both beautiful, gorgeous weather, and there's this chemistry, but we see confessional Ashley say, and I'm waiting for him to make a move. I'm waiting to make the move. And Wale's just standing there kind of, kicking his feet back and forth. And then he's like, okay, good night. And she goes in her room disappointed. Like, I needed him to make a move. And he walked away. And then he was thinking, I kind of wanted to kiss her. I think she wanted me to kiss her. He came back to the door and then he said, I would like to kiss you. Good night. And then they did kiss good night. So it does take away spontaneity, but I understand it. Welcome in, Paula. Hello. We're talking about Love Hotel, but I've been watching it all along, but not reviewing it. So I'm going to just give quick synopsis up to where it is now. I think, like I said, I think I watched up to episode 7 and it's good. So at Bravo Love Hotel, Luann says that 3 is a crowd because remember, Luann always has multiple people vying for her. They all do, but Luann picks the type of men, they're kind of aggressive about Luann. We see Jerry confronted Mark over, Mark is the one that looks kind of like Kenny Rogers. He's a good looking man too. Everybody there is kind of good looking. Earl, he's the only one I didn't really find attractive, but Shannon seems to like him. Or as she said, I think she's just comfortable with him. So I think that's what it is. So that's Earl, the Shannon's man. This is Mark, who is in competition with Jerry over Luann. Wale is Ashley's man. Philip is for Giselle. Jay is for Giselle. More like in the friend zone, though, which they both recognize. Ralph is good looking. Ralph is doing that. Oh, shucks. I don't know why the ladies love me. But he's tall. He's good looking. He's 61. He has 2 young sons. And he also is interested in Luann. Shannon kind of liked him early on, but she got intimidated because he was attracted to Giselle. And then Nicholas had early interest in Ashley, but he couldn't make anything happen. Nicholas was just too intimidated by Ashley and by Wale, who will be standing by, giving the evil eye when Ashley's with anybody. And Ashley keep reminding the people, we're supposed to be dating different people and, doing all that. And it's true, they are. So we have a scene where Shannon and Luann are funny. They call Mark Jesus Christ because he's at this yoga type vibe. So Mark is real cool. But then later on, I started to see him as kind of, I don't know how performative he's being. We'll see. Or if he's there for TV. He's attracted to the ladies, but he also is attracted to being on camera, in my opinion. So they call Captain of the Sea Jerry because Jerry's the retired surfer in San Juan. They said Jesus and Captain of the Sea are fighting. So they were fighting over Luann. So Joel comes in. He's the host. He asks for details. Nick says that he's jealous when he found out that Wale kissed Ashley. So they do, I guess no matter how old you get a sense of jealousy if somebody likes the same person you like. But, it's the setting is going to lend to that. Like the same thing is on The Bachelor. Haven't watched The Bachelor in a couple of seasons. I may pick it back up. I did watch Golden Bachelor, which I liked until I found out that The Bachelor, Gary was kind of allegedly, and in my opinion, there were rumors out that he might have been some type of scam artist. I don't know. But the poor little lady he married, Teresa, they're already getting divorced. And she's successful and established. And I think she did fall in love with him. So Golden Bachelor is another one I picked up. The contestants are older than these people. As I said, most of them are Gen X. The oldest is Shannon, who's 60, the oldest of the ladies. The men are, the younger men, I guess they brought them there for Ashley, but Ashley says she likes a zaddy. Ashley just got out of a marriage with old Michael. So the 60-year-olds, such as Ralph, who is still in good shape, he's good looking. Ashley's checking more for the older men than she is the younger one. Wale is eye candy. He's intense. He looks right in your eyes. I think Wale is fine. So she's keeping him around. Giselle is always asking how important are financial matters. She's glad Phil has 2 houses. I can understand Giselle because she is saying we're women of a certain age, except for Ashley, but Ashley has 2 young sons. So they are all concerned with whether or not the man can financially meet them where they are. I'm not upset about them saying that. I think that's fine. So during the first elimination, they ended up eliminating Mark and Jerry. Now, as I said, Jerry was the one kind of like a yoga type vibe. He's going to come back. I like this about the host, Joel. Joel has a lot of leeway about who he brings in and sends out. So that's a pretty good thing about this show too. And let me know, Sharon, I know is watching the show a little bit. Let me know who else is, if they've seen anything of the show or have opinion on the ladies. Because like I said, I got a different view of all the ladies, even the ones that I don't really care for. And then the funny thing about it is they get to give a man a key. Shannon ended up giving Earl her key, and he's kind of like they're almost married. Shannon gives Earl the key every time. So he knows he has a key. They have another key that they can give out. And Shannon ends up she usually gives it to someone that she thinks might be interested in another one of the ladies. So she gives Wale a key if Ashley doesn't give him one. And Joel also allows for extra key at times. Phil, early on, he was saying he didn't get the opportunity to speak to Giselle like he wants to. So Giselle does end up giving Phil opportunity for dates. And in confessional, it always comes up that Phil has 2 homes. So we know that Phil's successful and he has 2 homes. Comes up later that Earl has 2 homes as well. So a lot of these men are established. Wale, I guess, is earlier in his career, whatever he does. But he lives in Rhode Island. He does well. He's a single man. He doesn't have any children, but he does want them. So Earl and Shannon, it is weird. They do have what seems to be an attraction to each other, but Earl sometimes gets triggered by Shannon. Early on, Earl tells Shannon that his wife, he was very close to his stepson. He ended up losing the wife to cancer. He fell out of touch with the stepson. Then one of them he divorced. It may be, excuse me if I'm wrong, but he had another wife that he ended up divorcing. That was the stepson that he fell out of touch with. And he misses him. He doesn't have any children of his own, but he's 60 years old. He's well established in his career, and he helps take care of people in his family. He has 2 homes in Florida. So that's going to come up later, y'all, in one of the later episodes. And then Ralph asked Giselle if he can pursue her. So Ralph, as I said, everybody has an interest in Ralph. He's a very nice looking man, but Ashley kind of has her eye on him. And let's see, Luann and Ashley see that Shannon stormed off for some reason. Shannon is very high maintenance, and the other ladies stay involved in Shannon's business. Even though she's already picked Earl, she's picked him early. Her and Earl, throughout the season, they get into little back and forths. They have one scene where they're on a boat, and it happens to come up that Earl said he doesn't eat vegetables. And Shannon's like, what do you mean you don't eat vegetables? And it sounds silly and crazy because, y'all, that's exactly how it came across. And it caused a big argument. Earl kind of fussed her out. He said she triggered him. She reminded him of his ex-wife in a way that she used to be very critical of him. And that made him really upset. So Wale and Ashley are another couple that have intense arguments about Ashley spending time with other people, even though that's the premise of the show. So they bring in an astrologer. Giselle, I like this about Giselle. Giselle's always watching the whole table. She knows what everybody else has going on. I don't know if Giselle's there to find love or she's just there to be nosy, get paid by Bravo, eat. That's another thing I like about Giselle. No matter what's going on, she doesn't let the food go to waste. That's one of my peeves about some of the housewives. They don't want to be seen eating on camera because it becomes a thing. Like with Candy, they always say, oh, Candy's always eating. But they're at scene with food. I don't think you should waste food like that. And Giselle doesn't. She's always eating when she wants to. They had a couple of cooking dates. They have a lot of boating dates. So that's another great thing about Love Hotel. They're in Cabo, St. Lucas, and they have amazing scenery. They have a lot of chefs come in, and they have wine every night. They have a bar on site. If you're not watching it, it's still time to pick it up. It's really worth watching. It's like you're on vacation. I could see that. Let me put this up first. Please like and share this video to keep Sandra P's Gen Extra in the algorithm. I appreciate that, Mama Bees. I'm really working to grow my channel, so I do appreciate that. Mama Bees, I watched the first few episodes but lost interest. Yeah, I could see that. Sometimes early on, to me, it got a little bit monotonous, but then it picked up with Shannon and Earl. Even though she picked Earl kind of early on, to me, she defeated the purpose of what she was doing. But because they're supposed to date and meet different people. But then I think they start feeling kind of guilty if, like, for instance, Ralph, as I mentioned, was interested in Giselle. But Ashley said, well, I'm going to shoot my shot. And then she ended up inviting Ralph out, and they've hit it off. Now Ralph and Ashley have been a thing for the past few episodes. And Giselle doesn't care. That's another reason why I don't know if Giselle is really there for love, if she's just there to date and be out in Cabo and eating and at the bar and doing the things she wants to do. So I love that about Giselle, how she's approaching it. And Luann is approaching it totally different than the other three women. Luann is actually allowing the men that she wants to meet to come into her room. What happens? Wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. I lost view of everything, and I thought that the stream had ended. This last episode, for instance, we had Shannon, which I didn't like, at a table full of people saying, I saw someone shirtless leave the room and go to coming from Luann's room with a smile on his face or something like that. And Luann was like, you're a peep. She's a peeping Tom. She called Shannon a peeping Tom. So yeah, I didn't like how Shannon did that. She thought that was cute, but that's really none of her business how Luann dates. But Luann is very self-assured. If she wants a man to come into her room, she has him come into her room. Now, one weird scene. Shannon, I told you at the beginning, she told Earl all about her drunk driving accident. She said that the date they were there was the anniversary of her DUI, and she got upset because Earl didn't commemorate that or say, look how far you've come. You've had this DUI, and today's the anniversary. But I don't know of commemorating horrific events. I know in your mind you'll be like, this is what's the Temptation song? That was the day my daddy died. But you're not, you remember it, but you're not saying, look how far you've come. This is the date of your drunk driving incident. So Shannon is kind of strange. And she also showed Earl this bloody selfie that she took, and production shows us. I'd heard of the news, but I hadn't seen the bloody selfie. I didn't need that, but I saw that. So I'm all the way up to episode 5, y'all. I'm just taking little scant notes because, like I said, I'm watching it, but I wasn't reviewing it. So I just wanted to catch up with it. We have Mark come back. Remember, Luann sent him home first episode because they didn't really have chemistry. Mark came back. Luann took him out on a boating date. Shannon is still stuck on Earl. She invites him out again. Earl is on the boat. They're all out on the boat. They're sailing. The wind is blowing. It's beautiful. They dock so they can jump out and swim. And Earl, one of his interests in Shannon, he had boats. Okay, yeah, Giselle is nosy Sharon Cabo. And you never really liked Shannon. See, I just knew of her, but as I stopped watching OC, I didn't know she was like that. I don't care for her on this at all. Shannon's very rude. But on this scene, now first, earlier, she argued to him, what do you mean you don't like vegetables? Which was so strange, but she got mad at him about it. This time she says, what are you doing out here with your shirt? I wish he would put his shirt on. And in confessional, Shannon says, I don't know if Earl's going to fit into my world. I was raised proper. I don't know if she was raised proper because Shannon, the way she speaks to people, and Earl has mentioned it, Shannon can be really rude just because she's from maybe a higher, I won't even say higher class, higher income. Because as we're seeing now, having a higher income doesn't mean you're higher class. The way Shannon speaks to people, I don't see that as high class. Yeah, I grew up, we didn't have a lot, we didn't have much of anything, but we would always get complimented that we had amazing manners and we were really sweet to people. And my mother would always say, I appreciate you, none of you ever embarrassed me in public. And my father was the same. We knew how to conduct ourselves because there were a lot of us. I'm 7 out of 8 children, and we couldn't go anywhere and be acting all crazy just because we didn't have money. So Shannon's saying she's raised proper, and Earl might not fit into her world. Shannon's the rudest one out there. So they're giving out keys again. Shannon advocates for Phil. Let me see who gets the key, who gets sent home again. Okay, Mark came back, as I said. Ashley and Wale are kind of getting to it again. She is speaking to him about whether or not he wants children. He does want children. He doesn't want them right now. And as I said, Ashley might be done with her family, y'all. Ashley might be done with her family. Sharon Cabo, I like Luann's energy too. I think she just dates how she wants to date. And with Shannon, I think Shannon was almost trying to embarrass her. Oh, I saw him coming out of her room shirtless. And then she had to admit that she has Earl in her room. And she said, well, Earl leaves my room with a smile on his face. Okay, good, Shannon. We don't really care. You're dating him. You've practically moved in. Y'all, the latest episode. She not only gives Earl a key, she done asked the men to move in. Now, they at the Love Hotel. If you find your match, you can go ahead and go home. Because like I said, I don't really care for Shannon on this show. In episode 6, they have the friends come to evaluate love. Giselle brings Cal. Y'all remember Messy Cal from Potomac? He's her friend. He does her hair. He's always gossiping about the ladies. He came into Monique's house one time with Giselle and was like walking on through Monique's house, and he had to finish up Giselle's hair. And he didn't do an amazing job with Giselle's hair either. That was when people used to always have stuff to say about Giselle's hair. Even though Giselle has her own beautiful hair, Cal would always end up putting a bad wig on Giselle, which there's no reason to put a bad wig on Giselle Bryant, because I don't care what you think of her. She's a beautiful woman. So I didn't understand Cal in these wigs. But Giselle's looking good down in Cabo. Cal is there to evaluate the dates. He's not messing with her hair. So I was glad to see Cal, y'all. I was. Shannon brought her 2 daughters. She has 2 twins. She has, I think, 3 or 4 girls, but 2 of the twins came. They're young adults. They may be in their early 20s. Who else do we have? Brant is Ashley's friend from home. And then we get, y'all, a Cynthia Bailey sighting, who's still beautiful, still cheekbones. She comes for Luann. Luann says that they've been at similar, different stages in their life at different times. As I said, we met Luann, Real Housewives of New York. She was married to the Count. She was Countess Luann. Cynthia Bailey has a couple of marriages under her belt as well. Luann said they will be going through divorces at similar times. They have New York circles. And Cynthia also has connections out in, we've seen her over on Beverly Hills. So Cynthia is in the Bravo universe, y'all. NBC, Universal, they love themselves some Cynthia Bailey, and so do I. So Cynthia's there to choose for Luann. So this was what was funny, y'all. Cynthia was talking with, there was a new guy brought in for Luann. He was very clingy, very in Luann's face. He plays the guitar, a ukulele, whatever it is, and he has like a Bob Dylan type nasal voice. I don't care for James. I find James to be really camera hungry and strange. But he has been able, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the men don't want to like put their hands on the women or go in for a kiss or any of that. But James is very forward, and he doesn't have a problem doing that. There's another one, Mitch, that calls him out on it. He called him disrespectful. But Luann likes that. Luann's a lady of a certain age. She grew up in a time where it wasn't taboo, and she actually likes that about James. So James has been in and out of her room. He warns the other men against her when he gets ready. So that was really strange to me as well, but he does warn the other men again about her. And then let's see. Something strange happened. Oh, another thing I like, they all get together at the bar, usually after their dates. So there's a lot of interaction. The men are getting really close. They talk about the ladies. They talk about each other. They talk about their lives. The women have a sisterhood. The 4 of them look out for each other. They try to point out red flags, but the ladies have their own mind. They do what they want to do. But this latest episode, I mentioned Earl had 2 homes. They're both in Florida, St. Petersburg, Tampa area. This was when a terrible hurricane was coming through. I think Hurricane Helene. So they were all at dinner. And Giselle, who's very charismatic, she could talk to anybody. She's sitting next to Earl. Something's going on with Earl. Shannon's not asking Earl, is he okay? What's going on or whatever. But Giselle is talking to her date. She's saying, I've got a daughter down in, I guess she's at FAMU, y'all. It's Grace. So Giselle has 3 beautiful daughters who are the best part of Giselle to me. That's her children with Pastor Jamal Bryant, her ex-husband. But she said, we just had to evacuate my daughter. There's a terrible hurricane coming through. And Earl's like, yeah, I've been really worried about my homes. This should have come from Shannon, but it came from Giselle. She's like, oh, things will be okay, this and that. So Earl, that night, he gets invited by Shannon because they've been spending so much time together. He's going to move into her room. Excuse the sequence of events because, like I said, I didn't review any of the episodes. I'm just kind of catching up. I have watched all of them. So, and then I mentioned this weird dynamic between Earl and Shannon where they'll start arguing. So he's moved in with Shannon into her room. She's kind of dismissed that the house, anything's going to happen to the house. And she made why would you live there if there's going to be hurricanes? there are areas in the countries that always get struck by different things, and to question why people live there, I don't think that's fair. People do that to the people in New Orleans. Why do you live there? Weather patterns change, and then as Earl said, they never took a direct hit, so he's worried about that. There's a new guy that comes in. He's a very good looking doctor, an oral surgeon, and he's interested in Giselle. He said Giselle asked him if he'd ever dated a black woman. He said no. And then this man came later and said, I did a little research and I find out that the relationships between white men and black women last longer and there are fewer divorces. And y'all, for some reason, I've heard that too. I don't know why that's the case, but I've heard that as well. So he and Giselle talk. He asked Giselle if she ever modeled. She said she's done print, but she's too short to like model. Theo said he's done runway, and she said she could see it. I can too, y'all. Theo's very nice looking. Production, Giselle's in a confessional. Production says, you know, Phil model. You know, Phil, I told y'all, is the guy with the 2 homes and he's in Bel Air, really put together. Giselle said, I didn't know that. Why don't I know this? I feel like he's hiding things. And we do start to find out about Phil that he does hide things, because a funny thing happened when the friends came in. Giselle said, well, do you know Cynthia Bailey, since you're out and about in Bel Air and all of that? And Cynthia is bi-coastal. Noelle just moved to LA. Cynthia knows people everywhere. He says, well, Cynthia Bailey's been to my house, but I didn't mention it because she didn't recognize me. Cynthia had been to Phil's home when she was married to Mike, the sportscaster, Mike Chill. Well, Mike Hill, but they were saying Cynthia Hill, so it was Chill. Remember that relationship? So that was really, I don't know what to think about Phil. Mitch is one of the men interested in Luann. Every time someone is with Luann, here comes James with that ukulele or singing that really silly song he and Luann made up, Living at the Level 10. It's annoying. Wale is sick of him. Ralph is sick of him. They're having dinner. Luann interrupts to say that in Tulum, Mexico, her best friend started a fetish festival or something. They started asking each other's fetish. Luann says hers is hats. I don't know if anybody else shared, but they asked Ralph what his was, and he's like, silence, because James is doing his outbursts and the men are tired of him. So I'm thinking that James actually likes TV. All of the group got together another time, y'all. James showed up with no shirt on. And so Luann said to him, go get a shirt. She just started to say, go get a shirt. This is inappropriate, because I told you they have the bar area. They really one of the whole hotel. James, oh no, I'm with this. It's all right. It's all right. And Luann kind of dressed him down, and I appreciated her doing that. And Giselle had to go, Phil, you said you're a fashionista. You know better than this. And Phil said, I try to tell him, but he doesn't listen. Phil shows up appropriately dressed for everything. In the confessional, Giselle finds out that y'all Phil used to model as well. And production is messy. They actually brought up the pictures of Phil as a model. Another thing he is not mentioned to John. So this was funny. I thought that was funny when on him about that. Because James is a trip. Why would you show up shirtless to a meeting? Roy, I mean, not Roy, Earl was and myself back. Okay, I apologize. My Wi-Fi went out. I was buffering for quite a bit. Thank you, Mama Bees. Thank you, Sharon Gobble. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is back. I think it's getting ready to storm. Let me see. Oh, yeah, we're right at 40 minutes. I'm going to have to end this. Let's see. Okay, I think I apologize. We have a storm coming through, and I feel like I was buffering for quite a while, and Mama Bees and Sharon let me know I had no sound. I'll just put a 1 in the chat if I'm back, and we're almost at the end of this. This has been pretty long. I apologize. It's almost 40 minutes, but I was doing the whole season. Okay, so I don't think it's StreamYard, y'all. I think it's my Wi-Fi. Let's see. Okay, thank you, thank you. So we are back. Okay, let me present the screen again, and then I'm gonna go back and almost end this in a minute. Okay, great. Let me see. Share the screen. Bravo Love Hotel. Okay. Here we are back with let me see. I had a great picture of them and now I don't. Oh, let me share this one. Okay. There we are. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to try to end this. So we were back talking about Phil, Giselle. Phil's kind of hiding things from Giselle. Mark, they actually brought Mark back because I think production felt like he left too early. He was interested in Luann. Luann's not expressing interest. James has practically moved in. And so, y'all, Mark had the nerve to ask Giselle if he can have a moment and sell her. He's interested in her. Giselle's like, I think you're interested in just being here. And if James hadn't taken your slot, you'd be sitting right over there with Luann. So Giselle does not play any games. She let him know exactly what she thinks. So, and I was glad she did that because I feel some of the men are there for TV. I do. I see that. So that I found that pretty funny. Sharon is exhausting, y'all. So what happened is they had dinner. Earl was worried about his homes. Giselle let her know that Grace got evacuated from her school. This was Hurricane Helene. The next day, the women come in. Shannon is a puddle of tears. Oh, it was all my fault. And then Giselle was like, "What are you talking about? We not. You can't just come in here and say that BS." Giselle wants to know what's going on. All the ladies are trying to comfort Shannon. We find out she and Earl had a big blow up. The blow up, y'all, is about the hurricane headed straight for Earl's homes in St. Pete, Tampa area, and Shannon decided, well, if I think that you're not going to have a problem, I'm going to go out with the ladies and leave Earl there. So she and Earl get into a terrible argument about it. So she said she literally wants to walk out. And Earl is down there with the men. The men ask Earl, how are things going? Earl tells the men he doesn't want to talk before the ladies get there. Shannon is still in the room with the ladies, telling them that they've had a huge argument. And then Joe says that Joe is the host. He comes in and says that they need to talk everything through. And Ashley said they've learned a lot of things. Giselle said they need to hear Earl's side. Now, Giselle, one thing I like about Giselle is there for the ladies. She's ready to argue or whatever she needs to do on behalf of any of them. So he starts saying Shannon's amazing, but there's a hurricane that was headed straight for his house, and Shannon didn't check on him. She decided that she wants to go dance on tables and be with the ladies. So then this is the end of the episode. The scene comes up and Sharon is saying, she whispers, "I just want to walk out." And then she says out loud, "I literally want to walk out. How dare you?" So then we get to see the real Shannon again in front of people. And I think Shannon's looking for almost a hostile relationship, y'all. She's a mess. I apologize. I think that was Wi-Fi. It wasn't StreamYard. We have a storm coming through. So that's it. That was, we might be up to episode, let's say 7. So I'm interested to see what happens next. Because as I said, Shannon has moved Earl into her room. So she's moved Earl into her room, even though they got all this stuff going on. And they have some pretty terrible arguments. But I think Shannon was married to, she said he was a narcissist too. That man was mean to Shannon. But then we can see Shannon be critical of people too. Sharon Cabo says Giselle gets straight to the point, and I love it. I do too. I don't blame her at her. I mean, that's that she's 54. She's the same age as me. We don't really have time to mess around like that. And she's there. Again, I don't know if she's there for love or not, but I like how she's showing up on TV. All the ladies, really, with the exception of Shannon. So everybody, that was the Love Hotel. And I'm scared about my Wi-Fi. Or it might be StreamYard, but I'm thinking it's Wi-Fi because there's weather coming through all week. We've had terrible storms every day. So everyone, I find that my long form, which for me is 30 minutes plus. So I appreciate everyone that joins me for those and watches them. But I find they help me toward my watch hours. So if you're a team replay, all right, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and end the live. Team replay, thank you so much. Cece, thank you for coming in. I've started having Wi-Fi connection problems, so thank you so much. I apologize for the ends problems, but that was the review of season beginning up until now, Love Hotel. And everyone have a great day. Thank you for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. And thank you so much for coming in and spending the morning with me reviewing that. Everyone have a great day. Bye. All right. Thank you, Cece. It doesn't want to end. I have to do an outro video. I can't leave the stream running.